actually get him in the proper justice way, and I believe justice will be served here today.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Longsword. Mr. Cartier, over the floor to your opening statements.
Thank you, Your Honor. My name is Timothy Cartier. I am here to represent Mr. Lakin Colman in this case, in which there is no foundation for the charges with which he is faced against. As you will see, there is no concrete evidence to prove that in any way he coerced anybody into joining him on a drive, and I believe that the evidence, or lack of evidence, speaks for itself. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cartier. So, Ms. Sakura, open the floor to your first witness.
Your Honor, my first witness is not present because he couldn't be present, but I
Do you have a
believe
secondary?
he has these statements on the report, so we can proceed with that.
Are there any objections to that? The court will read it aloud. Mr. Cartier.
No objections, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. As it pertains to case 142, incident report. 221 responded to a panic button pressed by Sophia Monroe of EMS. Upon arrival of her current location, 221 and other units learned she is being kidnapped and in a black Sultan. 221 pursued the Sultan. Units also learned Acker Mouse was also kidnapped. 221 and units eventually lost eyes on the vehicle, but regained eyes 10 minutes later. The vehicle was in the canals when it attempted to make a jump onto the Del Piero freeway, but failed and was on its roof. The driver was tased out of the vehicle and the driver fled on foot. Units managed to tase him again and take him into custody without further incident. The passenger of the Sultan was also kidnapped. Other units transported the suspect to LSPD, where 221 dropped off the kidnapped individual at MZ. The suspect was identified as Lakin Colman. 221 and 210 charged Mr. Colman with times two kidnapping of a government employee, times one kidnapping, and times one felony evasion. Mr. Colman pled not guilty to all charges and was sent off with Bolingbrook with full time and full fine. Further evidence can be acquired from the body cam of 210. The medical report.
As well.
Yep, and medical report treated by EMS at MZ. The confiscated items are in locker 142. The use of force was less than lethal taser. He was identified through fingerprints. He was Mirandized and was not GSR tested.
That's right, Your Honor. Like the report said, Mr. Colman was seen in a stolen vehicle and kidnapping people.
Objection, speculation.
I'll sustain that objection. I know it's tough not having your witnesses here, Ms. Longsword. But,
I know, Your Honor. Don't worry about it.
Well,
so,
Honor,
is there?
May I speak? It seems that a witness has just appeared, as I believe this individual was involved in the incident. Mr. Acker Mouse.
It's up to the prosecution if they want to call him forward or not. Mr. Cartier.
Of course.
So, Ms. Sack, do you have anyone else that you're wishing to put on stand?
I wouldn't mind calling Mr. Acker into the stand, Your Honor.
Okay. The court brings Acker Mouse to the stand. Mr. Mouse, can you please step forward? Yep, right here to the stand, sir. Bailiff, can you please swear him in?
Just bear with me, Your Honor. I'm a bit rusty.
You're totally fine, Ms. Longsword. Thank you for stepping in.
Just a bit rusty.
I don't think I was properly sworn in, Your Honor.
All right, Your Honor. Mind if I take the stage with Mr.
Be sure to
Mouse?
talk authoritatively.
Yep.
All right, Mr. Acker, would you state your name and your occupation just for the court?
Hello, I am Hacker Mouse. I am currently employed at the Assistant District Attorney's Office.
Your Honor, I would like the defendant to be instructed on court procedure, please, because he keeps dancing.
Yes, I do tend to agree, Mr. Cartier. This is the second time I've had to tell you to control your client.
Yes, I apologize. I have explained it.
This is the final warning.
All right, Mr. Acker, proceeding with our questioning. Mr. Acker, you know this man over here? Do you know the defendant?
Technically, I do not, other than the incident that he took me.
The incident that he took you. Would you describe the incident for me, Mr. Acker?
So, me and Sophie were chilling outside of MZ as we usually do. And
Okay.
Sultan pulls up, and it's two individuals. I don't remember who the other one was, but hold on, I'm trying to remember.
Okay. And did you, by any chance, get injured in that altercation?
Yeah,
I'm about to get
I'll
to the relevance. You let me lay the foundation.
Yeah, make it quick on the foundation. I'll see where this goes, Mr. Cartier. Go ahead and answer the question, Mr. Mouse.
Yes, I sustained a fractured kneecap.
All right, and that was when you were in the car with Mr. Colman.
Yes, after slamming into the side of a highway.
Did you consent to being in that car with Mr. Colman?
He pulled up to MZ and asked if we were to want to be, taken for
Mr.
a
Acker,
ride.
I'm sorry, but it's a yes or no question. Did you
Mhm.
consent to being in the car with Mr. Colman?
At first, yes.
And when did it stop? When did you retreat your consent for being in the car?
When it felt as if it wasn't just a friendly ride anymore, and we were more of a hostage at that point.
So at some point you were treated as a hostage in your mind.
Yes.
That's it, Your Honor. I'll pass it to the defense.
Alrighty, Mr. Cartier.
Hi, Mr. Mouse. How are you?
I am okay. How about you, Mr.?
I'm glad. Thank you. Let's get started here. When you were approached by Mr. Coleman at Mount Zona, as you have already said, you gave your express consent to enter his vehicle. That's correct?
Yes, he was very friendly at first.
Okay. And during the car ride, when you later described that you incurred an injury, were you at any point physically threatened by Mr. Coleman?
Not that I recall.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Alrighty. Is there any rebuttal that you
Yes.
want to do, Ms. Longsword?
All right, so Mr. Acker, sorry to bother you again. So you said there was no threats that you recall. Is that correct?
Objection.
Other than
certainly
an
so.
agreement.
I sustain that objection. Objection.
All right. You said that you don't recall having any threats made to you.
It was more being aggressive and driving really, really aggressive.
Can you describe being aggressive?
He started getting a little louder towards speaking to us.
Can you give me an example of that loudness?
Well, I can't really say what he said.
I'll sustain that objection.
It was a little hard to understand.
No, you don't answer
yeah,
that, Mr. Acker.
no, don't answer
Okay.
there. Yep, you're fine.
So, Mr. Acker, you said he
Mhm.
was becoming aggressive towards you. Would you classify that as hostile?
Objection. That has also already been answered.
It's also leaning towards leading. So, yeah, I'll sustain that objection. You can rephrase that question if you want to.
At what point did that aggressiveness threaten your person, Mr. Acker?
Objection. Aggressiveness has already been cleared. That
I was just
That was
saying,
not an issue.
Mr. Curry, he's already answered that there was no threat.
I'm trying to
made.
get to the point that where does Mr. Acker felt like he was being treated as a hostage? Because we,
We'll just ask that then.
Mr. Cartier.
Yeah. Not about the pain. Just rephrase your question a little bit to what your main point is that you just said.
Okay. So, Mr. Acker, at what point did the defendant make you feel as a hostage? What was the trigger here?
Driving really aggressively, slamming into stoplights and everything.
All right, that's it, Your Honor. I'll leave the witness.
Alrighty. And
Recording
everyone that needs to
started.
be here is back here. We're gonna pick up where we left off. We never heard what
Yes.
your previous question was, so why don't you kick it off from there for your rebuttal?
I believe I was just going to make a few statements. Let the record show that erratic driving is nowhere listed.
Well, so let's not testify. If you have things to say like that, let's save it for our closing arguments.
Okay.
Okay. So, do you have any questions for the witness?
I do not believe so.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Cartier.
Of course.
Mr. Mouse, you can go ahead and step down for us. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yep. Ms. Longsword, do you have anything else? Any other witnesses you'd like to call?
No witnesses, Your Honor. Just the evidence of the body cam submitted by 210.
Yes, and that does go into the decision to be made here.
All right.
Yep.
Oh, so you can. I don't know if the defense has any witnesses or if he's planning to call his client.
So if you're done with witnesses, you can just end your prosecution. I'll forward to Mr. Cartier for his ballgame.
That's right, Your Honor. I'll
Oh.
submit it right here. Save the rest for closing arguments.
Alrighty. Mr. Cartier, do you have anyone you'd like to call?
I have no additional witnesses, Your Honor.
Alrighty. Then we will move to our closing arguments. I will let the prosecution go first.
As you can see, it's clearly that Mr. Colman subjected the two hostages to some distress. Otherwise,
Fucking liar, they're not hostages. Fuck off, you dog.
One more
Otherwise-
time, Mr. Cartier. I know we had a little bit of a brief break, so he might be a little eager, but please control your client. That's the last and final
Of course,
warning.
Your Honor.
if there wasn't any type of distress situation, Sophie would never press the panic button, as we stated here by Mr. Acker. At some point, he did feel intimidated, and the law clearly states that hostage does not necessarily mean that you're threatened for physical violence. It could be also intimidation, and I think the prosecutor here proved it, and I think the evidence shows that we proved it too, and I'm confident that justice will be made.
All right. Thank you, Mrs. Longsword. Mr. Cartier, before you come stepping up, why don't you? I'm giving you one last chance for your client to stop smoking in my court before I give him a contempt charge.
Yes, Your Honor.
What are you gonna hold me in contempt for, you fucking drongo? It's a free country.
Hey, Mr. Coleman, please.
Get out me face, you fucking bull Batman looking.
Mr. Coleman, please show some respect. Put the cigarette out. Don't speak that way to the bailiff.
You look like Bruce Wayne's
We're
butler, you
almost at the
fucking
end here.
dog.
Mr. Coleman, we're almost at the end here. Come on. Hold it together for just one more minute. Come on.
You're fucking lying.
I'm lying?
Nah, these fucking pink-haired candy floss.
Mr. Coleman, you're pushing buttons you don't want to push. Mr. Coleman, that's one contempt of court.
I think that speaks volumes, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Cartier, come on up and give your closing arguments.
Your Honor, as I think has been made crystal clear by the lack of evidence involved in this case and the lack of details in the report, Mr. Colman has in no way actually kidnapped anybody in this incident. Let the record show that erratic driving appears nowhere on the charge of kidnapping and has nothing to do with kidnapping itself. Let the record
Your
also
Honor,
show.
I'm sorry to stop your closing arguments, Timothy, but your client.
Yeah, bailiff, if he makes obscene gestures anymore, please remove him from the courtroom. We can finish without him.
Will do, sir.
Go ahead, Mr. Cartier. I apologize.
Oh, no, that's okay. Where was I?
Erratic driving.
Say that one more time, Your Honor.
Erratic driving.
Oh, yes. Erratic driving, as I said, does not appear on the list for kidnapping for the charge in the description. Let it also show that the witness who testified here today said that he gave his express consent that he would enter the vehicle, which again correlates with no kidnapping has occurred. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Cartier.
Wait, one more thing.
Mm-hmm.
Let the record also show that the third count of kidnapping, there is nobody listed for that charge in this entire incident in the report, and there is no one else seen on the body cam as far as I am concerned.
Sir, in the gallery, please hold your applause. Thank you, Mr. Cartier. All right, give me a second here to deliberate both arguments. Thank you both for the time that you both have put in to this whole entire case. Thank you, Ms. Longsword, especially for stepping in as special prosecutor for this.
Yeah, thank you for being here.
And Mr. Cartier, thank you also for the quick turnaround. I know the other member of your firm couldn't quite handle being a lawyer and had an incident this week, so I appreciate on such short notice being able to step in.
It is unfortunate, but it is my pleasure. Thank you.
Damn, I didn't know this. I didn't know that. Fuck.
Okay. So, looking at the charges that are here, the overwhelming charges are kidnapping of government employee and kidnapping. There's a couple things that you do indeed need to prove kidnapping, and it is something that we've been trying to teach cops to get statements from people on scene. That way it's fresh in their mind. Mr. Mouse may have been in distress, but by his testimony, and that's the only testimony I could go off of as the other people were not here. They did indeed go into the car with no force, intimidation, or violence being brought towards them. It was against their own will. So they were not abducted. And at no point did he say he was restrained. So at that point, kidnapping doesn't stick. And kidnapping is very much different than being a hostage. So moving forward, there would need to be evidence to back up the claim that they were kidnapped and taken to another location. Since it was against their will, the kidnapping charges will not stick. So kidnapping ×1 and kidnapping of a government employee ×2, both will not stick and will be not guilty on that end. And then when it comes to the felony evasion, at that point, the charges that were thrown on that were indeed felonies did not stick. Therefore, he was not evading a felony. I agree he is evading, but that's a totally different charge. than felony evasion, and we cannot downgrade once we are in court. So that will also be thrown out. So every count that he has outside of the contempt charge is not guilty. Court is adjourned.